I've already done a few videos in the past asking you how you tend to listen. Do you listen to just music? Do you listen during the day? Is it as background music? Do you have times like date night where you set aside some time to listen through a full album, maybe having your favorite beverage with it? Background music when you're having dinner, all of those things. So today's question is still within the realm of how do you listen, but I'm interested to know, when do you listen? When do you tend to listen? So is there a particular time of day? Do you, if you're working from home, do you have background music on? Do you tend to like listening in the evening? Is it mainly weekends because you're not working and you have more time to sit down and listen critically? Or are you a night owl and you listen quietly or not so quietly in the middle of the night, maybe on headphones? And one of the reasons I'm interested about this came from some of the comments to recent videos. Somebody posed the question, so can someone explain to me why my system sounds so much better at 2 a.m. than it does during the daytime? Now, this is very interesting, and that's kind of along the lines of why I'm asking this question today. Have you noticed the same thing? If you do listening, late in the evening or in the middle of the night, do you tend to find that your system sounds different, sounds better? Now, I have a couple of ideas as to why this might be. If you live in a bigger city or an apartment building, let's say, for sure, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the overall noise floor, the din from the city, your neighbors, everything else is going to be lower. That means that you can easily concentrate and focus more on details that you normally wouldn't hear in the music, compared to, during the daytime where there might be car horns honking and, just the general din of day-to-day life during the daytime. So that's one major reason. If your noise floor is much, much lower in the middle of the night, you're going to be able to hear more from your music. Now there's another thing going on that many people don't think about, and that's the power coming out of your wall. Now, I'm not going to go into controversial topics like power conditioners and $5,000 power cables and things like that. But the reality is that there are lots and lots of devices, particularly these days when many of those little wall warts and little power supplies that come with our day-to-day electronics have what are called switching power supplies in them. And they generate a lot of high frequency or radio frequency noise up to some acceptable limit by the FCC or whoever. But they also can pollute the AC that's coming out of your wall in the rest of the household. They'll actually send noise back. The other thing you have to think about is that all of your neighbors during the daytime, let's say around 5, 6 o'clock, which is typical dinner time for people, they're going to be using appliances, their stoves, all kinds of things, and all of these electrical motors can also put noise onto the AC line. And this is not something that's just going to appear necessarily, with a next door neighbor. This can pollute the entire grid for an area to a certain extent. If you've ever heard, clicks and ticks in your audio system when your furnace or your refrigerator cycle on and off, that's just an example of how noise can be sent through the power line. Now again, if it's the middle of the night, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, guess what? It's likely that there's not going to be many people using a lot of electrical devices at that time, certainly not many appliances. And so it's possible that the AC coming out of the wall is quieter, and depending on your equipment, that may make the sound out of your system also quieter. It could reduce the noise floor, it could reduce buzz and hum. Again, it's really component, system dependent, and location dependent. Now, I live in the boonies. So I don't really have to worry about, you know, hundreds of neighbors polluting the AC line. So our power quality is pretty good all the time, daytime, nighttime, whatever. But when I did live in the big city about a decade ago, yeah, I certainly noticed that later at night, my system tended to sound better. And again, I think the majority was not power line noise, but was actually just the general noise level of everything else going on outside and around me was lower, and I could hear better. It could also be something to do with, you know, emotionally. You're getting a little bit, you know, tired, you're a little worn out. It's maybe you're an opportunity to relax when you're listening very late at night. All of these things could impact it. But again, I'd like to know, when do you tend to listen? You know, is it weekends, weekdays, daytime, nighttime, middle of the night? And have you experienced this? Have you found that things sound better late at night than they do during the day? And what are your thoughts on it? I appreciate you guys watching this video, and gals, and please keep watching. And if you like what you're seeing, maybe subscribe if you haven't already.